Hey, what's going on guys, Khraze here and welcome back to another Outriders video. Today I want to talk about a really big switch that I have done recently that literally changed the way I'm looking at Outriders right now. Now, this is a class switch by the way, so don't get it twisted. This is about me switching to the Technomancer class, but I want to talk about how much of an impact this is compared to what I was using previously, how this made farming easier. It made it to the point that I even got a way better build in just a day compared to my Trickster that I was using for almost a month. And not just that, I'm also having a lot more fun, things are easier to kill, it's way more interesting, and it literally feels like this class was made to go against every type of combat scenario in Outriders. So if you're in a pickle right now and you feel like you're not progressing enough with your certain class, or if you're feeling that your Technomancer needs a little bit of, a tune-up, then this is the video for you. I'm gonna talk about the class, I will also go over my build since a ton of you guys have asked about it, and I will also go over some of the decisions that I've made in regards to this class compared to the Trickster. So starting things off, I'm going to go over the class attribute distribution. It's not like rocket science or anything. Pretty much everybody right now who is playing a firepower Technomancer is running with almost the exact same build into Pestilence. So essentially the staples right here are going to be the Exposing Toxin, which makes enemies become vulnerable when applying toxic on them, which you will all the time with the blighted rounds, of course. Then we also have the Cannonade as well as the final capstone, which between these two give you about 70% increase in weapon damage when you're using ordnance skills as well as DK skills. So in this case the best ones would be the blighted turret with a really low cooldown, and then, well, in this case I'm using the cold snap because I'm kinda like a bitch in this case, but Scrapnel, which increases your damage by a lot, but I will make a case for cold snap in just a little bit as well since I like it a lot more. Everything else is pretty much weapon damage increase or assault weapon damage or some form of long range weapon damage increase that will help you with the addition of the magazine size, since yeah, you're not going to run out of bullets. Which brings me to the first big advantage of the Technomancer. Out of all of the classes I've played, Technomancer has the easiest time to keep the magazine at full pretty much every single day. The reason for that is simply because you have access to the Toxic Lead, which is one of the best tier 2 mods in the game. Well, it's only for the Technomancer obviously, but if you kill an enemy affected by a toxic effect, it will instantly replenish 40% of your ammo in your magazine. If this isn't getting like nerfed in the future, you can call me whatever you want to call me, because there's no way they're keeping it like this. I'm not saying that it deserves to be nerfed, I'm just saying that there's no way they will let this go under the radar for too long. It's just way too good. I hope it doesn't, but it might just happen. Now, why am I saying that the Technomancer is so amazing? Well, literally because its entire kit is specifically made to deal with Outriders the game, as in literally all of the combat scenarios and everything that the game has to throw at you. Like most of the difficult combat scenarios in Outriders revolve around you being surrounded by very big enemies that constantly use ranged abilities. For example, leaping from high distances, casting like really annoying beams or whatever from really far away. This is going to deal with that. Because of your huge bonuses to long range damage, you're going to deal with the enemy way before it even reaches you, unless you're like in a tight room or spot. On top of that, you also have one of the best healing mechanics in the game. You literally get heal as you deal damage. You don't have to wait for the enemies to die to get the heal, you don't have to put them under a certain buff. You deal damage, you get heal, that's pretty much it. Now, in terms of the mods, here is what I'm rolling with. Right now, I'm kinda debating between the skills that I'm using. As I've said, Cold Snap has worked wonders for me, simply because it's an amazing CC, it just freezes everybody, but most important of them all, as I was leveling up, I was using this really awesome set piece, Robe of the Borealis Monarch, which comes with the Icicle Storm. So essentially, if I kill enemies in a frozen effect, it explodes them, it makes them explode for 250,000 damage in a 5-meter radius. But this stacks with firepower, so at a high firepower, this is over 500,000 damage at the very least, or at least I think it scales with firepower. My only explanation is that because I'm dealing like huge damage with this one. But yeah, recently I switched to a normal robe because I got the Euthanizer, which kind of brings me to the next point. I was able to get the best mods in the game way faster on my Technomancer, simply because I was able to clear the content way easier, way faster, and also that Eye of the Storm bit that I will talk in just a little bit. Like for example, also the Sharp Eye, which I was struggling to get on my Trickster for ages. I never got it. I got 2 of them on my Technomancer literally the first day I was playing. This mod is basically one of the best tier 3 mods to increase your firepower by huge amounts. It's almost like a Bloodlust but a tier 3, so between these two it's crazy how much firepower you're getting, at least like 70 to 80,000 between Bloodlust and this one, so definitely a big one. Now I have a big disclaimer for everybody who is looking for tier 3 mods and they can't seem to unlock them anymore, and this is a bit anecdotal, but it worked for me. I think that Laserbolt was the person who said it, I'm not really sure, but essentially he mentioned that if you didn't finish Eye of the Storm, or if you didn't finish like all of these expeditions, and if you still have some of them grayed out, which in most people's cases is Eye of the Storm, since this is a little bit more difficult, this means that you don't have access to the full pool of legendaries that can drop in the game, which means that might very well be the reason why you're not seeing certain drops appearing. And honestly, after testing it, I think that it might just be true. Once you do that, you will notice that you're literally getting new legendaries which previously you did not get. Now, is this true? Is this not? I'm not really sure. All I know is that as soon as I completed that, I got new items that I did not get before, and that's where I will leave it. Now, as far as the rest of the build goes, it pretty much goes without saying that it's similar to the Trickster firepower build. So Captain Hunter, I'm going with a 25% damage increase, and we also have, of course, the crit stack, which is another amazing mod. You're critting all the time, so why not get more firepower in the process? Bloodlust, I already talked about it, but I'm also using Radical Therapy, 15% more damage against enemies affected by Toxic. So between that and the Euthanizer, you're getting 40% increase in damage by simply using something like the Blighted Rounds, which applies Toxic to all enemies and all enemies in a big group. Now, as far as my weapon goes, here is a little bit of a pickle that I'm into because I didn't get my pre-order bonuses for some reason or another, but I did manage to find quite a few assault rifles that are pretty decent, like this one right here. Now, unfortunately, this has a pretty low firepower. They can go way higher than this, but tactical variant assault rifle is simply like the GOAT right now. It's also pretty awesome that this one came with crit, close, long range damage as well, and I also rolled a bone shrapnel on it, which meant that the only thing remaining was the Killing Spree mod, which is one of the best in the game. Another 75% weapon damage increase simply from killing a few enemies, so that's really amazing. Now, I'm also using an LMG. Why am I using an LMG? It's because for some reason in multiplayer, some of these issues are causing me to not kill enemies, even though I should be killing enemies. Like maybe somebody else is registering the hits, or I'm not really sure what's happening, but I'm finding myself that this is kinda going out of the blinded rounds because it doesn't replenish enough with the Toxic lead. So in that situation, I'm using the Reaper, which I believe is one of the best LMGs of well, legendary qualities in the game. And yeah, that's pretty much it with my case for why Technomancer is such a great class, for why I'm rolling with this build. Like, if you are right now stuck with your other class, maybe giving this a go would be a great idea, and it might also help you a little bit with like progressing more into the game in case you haven't done so anyway. Or maybe you just want convenience and want to pew pew from far away. This is the best one at doing that. But this is it. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.